please welcome our head of schools, Mr. Choi.
Good morning, everyone. Today we gather as a school family, as we did for the elementary in the morning and for junior high just earlier, and now for the high school. We want to honor the men and women who have worn the uniform of our nation, those who have chosen service over comfort, courage over convenience, and sacrifice over self. Veterans Day is a sacred opportunity to pause and remember the freedoms we enjoy each day. The freedom to learn, to worship, to speak, were secured and defended by those willing to stand in the gap. At Capistrano Valley Christian Schools, we teach our students to love and serve, and follow the example of Christ, who said, "Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends." Our veterans embody what kind of love and service in the most profound way. This morning, we are deeply honored to have veterans within our community. And as I read each name, would you please make your way, if you are able, to the stage? If not, you may remain standing where you are located. We do also have a few family members who will be representing a veteran who they're watching online. First, Captain Damian Cortez. John Brock Sr. On behalf, Johnny Brock will come up for John Brock Sr. Staff Sergeant Carolyn House. Sergeant Mark Mitchell. Captain Richard Burton. Raymond Hendrickson. Jim Vinar. Lieutenant Colonel Ed Slyman. Second Lieutenant Nita Slyman. Sergeant Gary Byrne. Christy Von Wahlberg will come up on behalf of Sergeant Byrne. Matt Johnson. Hank Raymond. Captain Tim Barnes. Lieutenant Commander Tony Soliday. Our very own Shannon Baker. Our very own Roy Ravago. And our very own Jim Brewington. Jim Brewington, U.S. Navy. Shannon Baker, U.S. Air Force. Roy Ravago, U.S. Marine. Tony Soliday, U.S. Navy. Tim Barnes, U.S. Air Force. Hank Raymond, U.S. Marine Corps. Matt Johnson, U.S. Navy. Sergeant Gary Byrne, U.S. Army. Nita Slyman, U.S. Air Force. Ed Slyman, U.S. Air Force. Jim Vinar, U.S. Air Force. Raymond Hendrickson, U.S. Navy. Captain Richard Burton, U.S. Air Force. Mark Mitchell, U.S. Army. Carolyn House, U.S. Air Force. John Brock Sr., U.S. Army. And Damian Cortez, U.S. Army. Thank you, each of you, for your courage, your sacrifice, and your faithfulness. You have served with honor, and we are deeply grateful. This year, as a small token of our appreciation, our students would like to personally thank you, and each veteran standing will receive a CVCS Challenge coin designed specifically for those who have served our country. Students, would you please come forward? Take that coin, bring it up on stage, and hand it to your parent, grandparent, friend, neighbor. Thank them for their service. And would you all give them a hand? Let's thank our veterans for their service to our country. Veterans, may these coins serve as a reminder that your example continues to inspire the next generation. Your service and your strength and your sacrifice are not forgotten. On behalf of our entire school community, thank you for showing us that what it truly means to love and serve. May God bless each of you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Thank you, veterans, for being present, and of course, for your service to us. We've recognized many veterans who are present today, and we have one more that we'll be introducing, and will be presented with a challenge coin by Luke over here. But I want to thank you all for joining us as we honor the men and women who have served our country. And now I get to introduce you to today's guest for our panel, Mr. J.D. John Morrison. Mr. Morrison serves, before his current role, he served 20 years on active duty as a naval aviator, flying the SH-60B Seahawk helicopter and serving aboard the USS Constellation. He's a veteran of the Operation Desert Storm, Iraqi Freedom, and Enduring Freedom, and was one of the first officers to be designated a Foreign Area Officer for Europe and Eurasia. He also holds master degrees in systems engineering and international relations, and he dedicates his time to inspiring the next generation through STEM education as a board member for Robotics Inspiring Science and Engineering, a nonprofit that empowers K through 12 students across Southern California. Please join me once again in welcoming Mr. J.D. Morrison. Mr. Morrison, I know that today you came with a bunch of coins in your hand today, just as we're handing coins off. Can you tell me a little bit first before we get into the questions about why you wanted to hand off some coins today and the story behind that?
Well, I was really kind of impressed that you all had embraced the coin tradition. It is one that has got an honored and storied past. Apparently, back during World War I, there was a young lieutenant with one of the flying units that gave everybody in his squadron a medallion. And the idea was that it was kind of like another tradition, which is more of a modern one, and in the Pacific theater, where it was kind of like a blood chit. It was a way to prove your identity. If you were found behind lines, you could show this token, you could show this chit, C-H-I-T, which was a paper, which basically said, if you get me back home, you will be rewarded. And so people that were even outside the conflict would be motivated to help. What I found out as I became, through my career, is that these are now still held by senior commanders, and they are used to recognize extraordinary acts right on the spot. So we don't have time to process a whole medal, paperwork, and all the rest of that stuff, but they can give out a coin. So it was quite a number of years before I even met a commander that had any. And so having never had command myself, I thought that I would adopt the U.S. 50-cent coin today to kind of share with some folks that gave me their coin, because it has on it the 35th President, John F. Kennedy, who was a Navy veteran and a war hero from World War II. And on the back, of course, it's got our national seal with, E pluribus unum. It's what makes us what we are. Out of many comes one. So, and I will just say, I do have a few more. So if anybody wants to stay behind, shake hands, say hi, I might have one for you.
Yeah, I already grabbed mine today, so thank you for that.
Fair enough.
Now, we had a formal introduction for you in the bio. You're also wearing a jacket that has a lot of patches on it, too. And you said each of those tell a story. Can you tell us in a non-formal written version, just a brief introduction of yourself and your experience in the military?
How much time do we have?
Yeah.
I was privileged to serve for 20 years on active duty. And I was just telling my wife this morning, I said, I think it was right around today, because it was in early November, that I passed the mark where the 20 years of active duty has now been eclipsed by my 20 years of retirement after duty. So we're digging back into some distant memories, but I had the opportunity to start out as a naval aviator. I was an instructor pilot. I got to go be a catapult officer on the USS Constellation. Went off and got some additional training in systems engineering, and started working more in what the non-kinetic, that means more like the information warfare side of things. So electronic warfare, computer network operations, and things of that nature. So I wasn't holding the sticks in the cockpit anymore. But, I've got a couple of highlights there. That's my parents and I on my commissioning day back in 1986, as I graduated what was called Officer Candidate School. You can see me there on the flight deck of the mighty warship Constellation, launching a Prowler. That's a electronic warfare aircraft. And another shot of the Connie there. And if you can make out, those are people on the flight deck that spells out Go Chargers. And that was back when they were San Diego based still, and so we still like them. But they had made it to the Super Bowl back in 1995, and so we put everybody out on the flight deck to wish them well.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And when you tell a little bit about your career in the Navy and your career since then, can you first tell us a little bit about what first drew you to the Navy and how that calling took shape?
Sure. So, as I pointed out, my dad was Air Force. And so I sometimes like to joke that I went into the family business of national defense. So there's a pull to that. Having grown up on Air Force bases and been in the military community all the time I was growing up, it kind of felt like a natural transition. I also really wanted to be something part of something bigger than myself. And, it really doesn't get to be a bigger team, and I don't use that word lightly, than the Navy or whatever service that you happen to be a part of. And then there was, not the least of which is, the call for adventure, the chance to travel all around the world, see places that you wouldn't get to otherwise, experiences and different duties that give you a chance to not do the same thing or even in the same areas for the duration of your career.
And as you think about, seeing the world, all the experiences that you've had, what are some of the lessons that you learned, especially in moments of pressure or discomfort, that have stayed with you in your life and your leadership through today?
Well, I guess if I had to pick one thing, I would say not all service is equal, but all service, military service, is honored equally and equally honorable. Whether you stay in for a few years, some people come in for the opportunity to earn college benefits, and some people choose to stay for a long career. It's one of those things that draws people for different reasons, and I'm just humbled to be sitting here and representing all the people, 330,000 people in the Navy on active duty right now, and the millions that have served before. Any one of the people here that we honored earlier today could give as a good accounting of their personal stories as I can. They're all different. They're all wonderful, and they are all, something that we have a justly amount of personal pride. But at the end of the day, it's something larger than ourselves that we represent.
And on that note of things being larger than yourselves, you are also, as a follower of Christ, practicing your faith. How did you exercise your faith, or how has your faith shaped through your time in the military? And both during, consciously aware of it, or after, as you reflect back on it? And then were there moments where your faith was challenged or deepened in unexpected ways in your time in service?
Back during World War II, they had an expression that there are no atheists in a foxhole, meaning that the threat of danger will tend to draw people naturally towards God because they may be meeting him sooner than they planned. But, I was fortunate to grow up, going to Sunday school, knowing God, knowing that it was always going to be a part of my life. But within the military, we have a whole corps of chaplains, and they have a very difficult job because they have to minister. We don't have enough to have a Catholic chaplain, a Protestant chaplain, and a Jewish chaplain all in one area. So they have to minister to everyone, regardless of their faith or lack of faith. And those are the ones that we often see have the hardest time because they don't have that calling, that link with the divine that helps sustain them through the hard times. Because when you don't have that, you wind up thinking that your problems are just your problems, and of course, we all know that's not the case.
You talked a little bit about service earlier and representing, and I'm just amazed at you being up here and feeling humbled to represent it on a day where we're trying to honor you and every veteran that's present today. So you talked about service, and our theme for this year is love and serve. So when you think about how your time in the Navy shaped your understanding of what it means to love and serve others through leadership, what did that look like for you, and any words of encouragement to the students who are present today?
Leadership is a journey. It's something that you're given trust over a period of time. Back when I was on the Constellation, I had a division of 100 that reported to me, and these were, salt of the earth young men. What people sometimes forget is that the military runs on the backs of very young people that are trusted with very significant responsibilities. So, if you have less than 25-year-olds that you're depending on to do what needs to be done under tremendous pressure and strain, and it's not always predictable. Leadership becomes a matter of reaching out to people and meeting them where they are, and some are going to need more than others. So one of the things that I found as I became more senior in my service was that anybody can do the job for a short period of time, and when times are easy, it's when things are tough and you're tired and you're missing your family, because service doesn't come without sacrifice. Everybody gives some, and some give all. So I think it might be worth talking about what Veterans Day really means, and that is something that falls within 3 national holidays. Aside from God himself, I think the military has the most holidays on the calendar, right? We've got Memorial Day, which is the oldest, and it recognizes the sacrifice of those that gave their all. It originated in 1868 after the Civil War, didn't become a national holiday until 1971, but it is the most solemn of the 3. Also in May, the 3rd Saturday of May, is Armed Forces Day. Now that one is a little happier. It celebrates and honors those that are actively serving right now. And then there's Veterans Day, which comes every November 11th. Originally called Armistice Day. It was to mark the end of World War I, which at the time they called it the war to end all wars. They thought it was so terrible, and so we lost so many people that we would never experience that again. World War II, of course, showed us differently. But in 1954, when they made it a national holiday to represent veterans, that's to celebrate all that have served. So it is the biggest wrapper around all of them, with, of course, Memorial Day being the core of the most reverent of the 3. So all of those holidays together kind of, I can't think of any other country that honors as their military the way we do, and for good reason, because we all owe them something. If you think about recruitment these days, 70% of those that enter service can trace someone in their family, mother, father, brother, cousin, somebody who's serving right now. And that means that the number of people as a percentage of the population is continuing to shrink. So back during World War II, everybody had a family member in service. Today, it is becoming more a tribe of patriots. And I think our society loses something when we rely on few to guarantee the liberty and security for all. So I'm kind of going out on a limb here a little bit, but I just kind of want to encourage anybody that's thinking about it is to measure your options, find what's right for you. Life in uniform is not for everyone, but service is. Find something that means something to you, that adds back to our society. And whether it's, putting on a uniform and going overseas, or whether it's working in your own community, find that, do your best, and our country and our society will be better.
Well, and I think that transitions well to a final question, but as we celebrate Veterans Day and what it means, and with your explanation of what it means, what encouragement would you give to our students today in how we can best honor and support veterans in meaningful ways?
I can only speak for myself, but I'm always a little sheepish when people come up and say thank you for your service, because I chose it, right? As I said before, not all service is equal. There's no way to measure it. The person that was drafted in World War II and had to storm the beaches of Normandy, that's quite some service. The family friend that we have that's going through SEAL training right now, those guys go through a lot to earn their trident. A lot of people would love to be a naval aviator. I know I sure enjoyed it. So, the fact that I volunteered and served, for 20 years, is that more or less? There's no way you can measure that. All I can say is that, I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud to have been part of the team, And it really is something that, we depend on everybody, no matter what their assignment is, to do their part so you can succeed in our mission.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Before I send you off, student CVCS, I'm about to thank Mr. Morrison for being here today. And as that thank you is said, I want us all to once again thank all the veterans who are present, those who are streaming online who couldn't be here today. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Morrison, as well. So CVCS students, please, let's give a rousing round of applause, and don't be afraid to stand up. Thank you so much, Mr. Morrison. And before we go, I'm going to pray briefly, and we're going to close with a singing of God Bless America, and then you'll be free to go back to class. But I would encourage you once again to come to the front and find one of the veterans who joined us today, shake their hands, and thank them for their service. So God, we thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your love. We thank you for the ways that you keep us safe and secure in ways that we don't even know. And today we pause, and tomorrow we will as well, to especially remember those who served in the military, to serve us, to serve you, to keep us safe and protected and secure, and to give us so many freedoms that we are often not aware of. So thank you for your love. Thank you for those who have served, and we ask that you would bless them, that they would feel honored and celebrated and respected these coming days. In your name we pray, God. Amen.
This episode has been a production of the Capistrano Valley Christian Schools Podcast Network. Be sure to check out, subscribe to, and leave a review of this show and the other shows on our network on your podcast player of choice. Doing so supports the school community in a multitude of ways. For more information about the CVCS Podcast Network or any of our other shows, check out cvcs.org or email podcasts@cvcs.org. On behalf of the whole network, this is Mr. Jasper saying thank you again for listening, and stay tuned for more.